What's going on, everybody? This is Rice Patty Daddy here, and I received some requests for partially edited videos, if you will, but at least with voice commentary, kind of explaining what I'm doing, so while you're watching, you kind of get an idea of what I'm thinking and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I decided to go ahead and try to get some of those videos out for those viewers. This is Canyon BR, and I dropped the long hanger as usual. I usually switch up my long hanger from time to time just to mess around with it, but most usually start off with Tulumbas. What you'll notice with the Tulumbas is actually a lot more and more people are using them just because of their effective mid-range, and especially if they are boosted up, they can do quite a bit of damage. So I'm doing a solo game right now. I'm actually bringing up my Tulumbas farther than I would usually recommend you to, only because you're right at the beacon, especially with BR, people are going to be dropping in. However, that's just my playstyle. I wouldn't say it's the smartest and most conservative playstyle, but I'm just, my style is more of brawling, and I like to be up in the action rather than back from it. So keep that in mind. It's not the most conservative. You're more likely to obtain a lot more damage by doing it. But I feel as though if I'm playing solo and people maybe recognize my name, or even if they don't recognize my name, it tells them that I'm going to push back, push forward, and not just allow the other team to have middle with an easy fight. So that's why I push up, is to kind of show the other team that I'm just not going to sit back. And of course, I'm not recommending this for anybody. It really depends on your style. So as far as me coming back, it's because people were starting to spawn from the middle point, so in order to conserve the bot and I've kind of used somewhat of a different strategy lately, especially with beacon, rush, and domination, is to play the beacon bar. So what you notice is that there's over 7.5 minutes, and we are down on the beacon bar, and we only have 2 of the beacons. Ideally, really, that's a lot of time. So what I can do with the Tulumbas, since they're such an extremely effective weapon, is just try to piece off whoever I can, get kills here and there, and start just kind of wearing and tearing down the enemy, as they are doing to us very well. I mean, they have some super long-range zeniths in the back, which has given some of our teammates some trouble. So I'm going to try to make my way around, and I like to move around rather than staying in one position, especially since that Inquisitor was trying to come around on our left flank. So if I can protect my team from being flanked, kind of bottling us up, then that's what I'll do. And I think everybody knows that this is under the bridge. One, it's a great position to kind of watch out from those Hydras, but you have a clear line of sight into portions of the center beacon as well. So I would have moved up, but I noticed there are actually 2 lances on my right side. But my biggest priority right now is this Fury right here that I'm going to take out right now. Because the Dragoons, he could have stayed there and just fired at my side. And you saw the clump of teammates that are all just right near me where I spawned. And he would have just been piecing them off, especially this Griffin that you see in front of me, the Leo that's coming up. So him versus the Lances, that Fury with Dragoons was a bit larger on my priority list. I decided to drop the Scourges because I still needed some type of mid-range. I wasn't ready to box yet, only because there's too many of the opponents, and I would have only lasted about maybe getting off 1 or 2 opponents. So I need to make sure that I bring down as much energy from as many players as possible. as well as obtain beacon dominance, because you can tell, look at the beacon meter. We're already at almost 5 minutes. We need that third beacon. So that's why I have a Bulgasari with Scourge. If I were in a Hetchy Scourge, I feel like he would be a lot more vulnerable. He may have been able to take a little bit of that Zenith damage, but those Zeniths would have tore down his energy shield and he would have been obliterated pretty quick. So we were able to at least turn the beacon, but we weren't able to keep it. So now I'm going with a little stronger range at the same 600 as the Scourge. The Dragoons are just hefty, except you're an open moving tank, pretty much is what you are. So with the Fury, I have to really be careful, because that, as you can see, I'm firing at the Hydra guy, and he'll just piece me off as long as I'm alive. So that was one big priority, was to take him down. So we're past 5 minutes. We have beacon dominance. We know that a lot of my team is already mech'd, and a partial, only about 2 of their players have mech'd. So really they have the upper hand at this point. So my idea, and what I'm thinking I'm going to do, is just protect the center beacon at this point. And that's what I'm trying to do. I have, I believe it's a Hetchy with the Tulumbas on my left, and then this Inquisitor. Now, I didn't reach out left because I would have just taken more and more damage off, and the Hetchy would just kind of dash back and forth. So the priority was get rid of that Inquisitor who was on center beacon before he turns it, and then get to the Hetchy later. Now we have one more opponent, and 2 now. And then the biggest priority is the beacon. We need that third beacon in order to kind of gain advantage on that beacon bar, especially with 3 minutes coming down. Actually, may or may not be enough to win the match. We may have to get 4 beacons. So again, as I said, that Fury is just, it's a moving tank, but if you're in front of damage, you're going to take it on pretty well. So luckily I have the teammate with me who can help me get rid of that Leo, and then of course I get just done. I decided to pull out the Orkans because I need a box. I need to get in close, and I need to make sure I get to another one of their beacons based on the beacon bar. We're not going to win it with those 3 beacons that we have. So I dropped mid to protect the teammate that I did have, who was alive, but he actually, poor thing, kind of died. So I'm going to play it conservative right now, and I'm hoping whoever my teammate is playing conservative, but he died. So now I know that I do need to get 4 beacons, and I was really lucky enough that the teammate took out that Hetchy, and I didn't have to worry about him, because that would have been a huge problem. So I was pretty lucky that he went out. Going against the Fury Dragoons, which I believe he is, you just really have to play it and play a stalking style. You just wait for your jumps and jump from cover to cover. You're able to jump almost about up to 80 meters or so. 80 to 100, somewhere around there. So if I actually tried to jump straight to him, I wouldn't have made it, because he would have just kept walking back, and I would have probably got as close as maybe 320. And then I would have had to run up to him, and he would have just obliterated me by the time I even got into a 300 meter range. So just play the patient game, since if you look at your clock, I still had about a minute 30 when I hid behind my first cover. So there's plenty of time to grab this beacon, and then you know this should take about 15 seconds or so, and then make your attack, and then we can actually grab another beacon after that. Following his path right now, I know he's thinking about moving to the right, but what he was going to anticipate is me jumping to the right. So if you noticed, he actually kind of made a stall and thought, what am I going to do? So try to think about what the person is thinking you're going to do, and then counter that. So that's why I did a jump to the left, but as well the beacon was on the left. So I was able to turn the beacon and then also niche him kind of from the sides of that cover. So that's what kind of helped me take care of two priorities at once. Just to let you know, I actually wasn't boosting at all. I'd taken a little break from the boosting, and as you can see from the result, I mean, if you look at total damage, it may have been a little lopsided on the teams, and then of course my weapons compared to somebody who's in Masters or Expert or Silver League definitely makes a match unfair. So taking those into consideration, you know, if we were all on the same level, the other team could have won as well. So I want everybody also to think about that and know that I am taking that in consideration. But you know what? Just playing for fun as well. So I hope you are all having fun as well playing. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good day.